On October 21, the field house at Steve Cox Memorial Park was packed full of federal, state, and local law enforcement officers responsible for a major bust of drug and gun traffickers operating out of the business corridor on 16th Avenue Southwest in White Center. Two 15-foot-long tables were set up to display the bounty of the 90-day operation, culminating in the October 20th raid of 4 White Center businesses operating as fronts for illegal trafficking. The ATF operation was dubbed Center of Attention, and it yielded 53 arrests. 26 of the arrested faced federal charges, and 27 faced King County charges, along with the seizure of 68 guns, 51 pounds of methamphetamine, 2 pounds of crack cocaine, and over 10 pounds of powder cocaine.
Fitting today that we are here at Steve Cox Memorial Park. As you know, Steve Cox was a King County Sheriff's deputy who gave his life in service of this community in the interest of public safety for the White Center neighborhood. Today, I am proud to announce the results of a 3-month-long operation, an operation called Center of Attention. The Center of Attention was White Center. It was right here in the neighborhood where Steve Cox gave his life for the people of this community. Center of Attention is a remarkable effort of federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies who work together, many of whom are represented behind me today. They came together with this mission to come into this neighborhood and to find out who the criminals were who were selling illegal guns and drugs and who were responsible for community unrest. We are announcing today that 53 people will be charged in federal and in state court with a variety of crimes involving guns and drugs and violence. This is an extraordinary effort, one that I can't think that we've ever done before to this extent, but it shows what can be done when people come together, when agencies come together, when they hear a community cry out for help. And behind me is just a symbol, a sample of the contraband that was seized in this operation.
This was an initiative we've seen nationwide, and there's been many stories about how crime rates are down. But we know some communities have not enjoyed that, and we decided to get together as a law enforcement community and to take a proactive act to say what communities can we look at and we know have a persistent problem with crime, and use all of our tools and multi-agencies to attack that crime. This was a 3-month operation. As Dan said, it had an amazing impact. It took 68 guns off the street, 51 pounds of meth, more than 12 pounds of cocaine, both powder and crack. It also took heroin, Oxycontin, and we have that many people being charged. But it is the impact that this had on the community, the people themselves that were being arrested, who day in, day out made this community a more difficult place to live. This was a place where a community has worked very hard to reclaim its streets. We are proud now that law enforcement was able to help that community reclaim its streets. We know that the long-term solution lies in the community and bringing to bear other resources. But if you look at the people who are here today, the men and women who were involved in this operation, they truly did a great thing for the community of White Center, and I can't thank them enough, and I can't tell you how proud I am to have been able to work with them. Dan's office and my office worked seamlessly with law enforcement throughout the operation. We had all the entities, everyone checked their ego out the door, because the number one important thing for them was to make sure this community could be safer. And I think that we will make sure that neither criminals nor the businesses that support criminals will own the streets of White Center. The neighborhood belongs to the people who live there. So I'd like to turn this over to Kelvin Crenshaw from ATF, who will talk to you as well. There'll be other people to answer questions at the end. Thank you very much.
I echo what Mr. Satterwhite said. It seems that we are appropriate that we are here at the Steve Cox Memorial Park. As he said, White Center is a community in which Deputy Cox lost his life. In all societies, someone has to walk the corner, meaning someone has to be responsible so that children can peacefully play, the elderly can exist without worry, and their families can have a peaceful existence without the fear of guns, gangs, or drugs. Operation Center of Attention. It is this type of enforcement that plays into the strengths of the ATF Violent Gang Task Force's ability. It is this type of operation I envisioned when I created this group back in June of 2005. Shootings, gun trafficking, drug trafficking, and violent crime is and continues to be our focus. From talking to agents, officers, investigators, and detectives, it is very clear that no one has ever been involved in such a cooperative joint enforcement effort that has distinctly and directly pinpointed the violence in one community as this endeavor has. The results were staggering given our operational time frame. This was a 90-day intensive, focused enforcement effort. I think Mr. Satterberg gave you the details of the number of guns and the number of arrests. I think Ms. Durkin gave you the details for the number of narcotics. But I must admit, that as easy as it is to pick up this 3 kilos of powder cocaine, it was just as easy to get it on the street. As easily as I'm touching these 22 pounds of meth, it was just that easy to get it on the street. And as effortlessly as it is that I pick up this 45 caliber pistol, and this assault rifle, it was just as easy to get it on the street. White Center is a good community. A community of families, a community of hardworking citizens, a community of people that don't deserve this. It's very important that everyone understands that law enforcement can't do it by themselves. It takes the citizens of that community to help and join the law enforcement effort. That means reporting crimes when they see them versus ignoring them. Because ultimately, the unsavory behavior will affect you, your family, and your quality of life. We can't stand idly by and let those that should be removed from our community and neighborhoods exist and gain momentum at our expense. This operation, what happened here in White Center, is proof that no agency or community can stand alone. The agencies that deserve special recognition for their continued dedication and unwavering support making White Center their first priority is Homeland Security Investigations, King County Sheriff's Office, the Seattle Police Department, and the United States Attorney's Office, and the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Special thanks goes to Dan Satterberg, Jenny Durkin, and Joe Lataki. And to those that think that they can peddle death and destruction, hear these words. We have zero tolerance to those who terrorize and hold our communities hostage to violence. Not for one day, not for 1 minute, not for 1 second.
We'll take some questions now, and I want to emphasize another thing. We understand that law enforcement is going to make a difference here in White Center, but we also understand that it is only part of the solution. On Monday, there will be a community meeting with community leaders, elected officials, as well as people from the community, that we can start bringing to bear some of the resources that can make sure that what fills the gap where we have taken criminals off the street is something positive for the neighborhood of White Center. So we will take some limited questions at this time. In terms of, just so you know, specifics about specific cases, the people who have been charged are presumed innocent. Because they are pending trial, there are many questions we will not be able to answer at this time. There are a number of public documents that will be available for you to discuss the specific cases. But I think the real story here is the breadth of what came off these streets in 90 days. This is just some of the weapons that were on the streets that law enforcement was able to easily get out of this community. And I think it is staggering results, but it is also a sad commentary on how much this community suffered at the hands of those criminals. That will not occur again. Questions?
Jenny, can you talk at all about the role of businesses, four businesses that you guys were involved in all this?
Yes, without saying which specific businesses, there were 4 businesses that were involved. The public records will show at least 2 employees of those businesses have been charged with crimes. Information and evidence that we have compiled in this investigation will be turned over to both the Washington State Liquor Control Board and the Department of Health, which may take enforcement actions against some of those businesses. Those businesses rent space. We will be contacting the landlords so that they understand their properties could be subject to forfeiture if this type of criminal activity were to occur in the future. We want good businesses. We want a healthy and vibrant business community here in White Center. But the landlords have to understand they're responsible also for what goes on in their businesses. Any other questions for some of the law enforcement?
Yes, I have a question. I'm a local pastor in the area. And I know when I first moved into this area up on 17th Avenue, Center per se, that you guys had another task force. And the same conclusion was brought up and the same amount of drugs and everything else. I guess my issue is at hand is the fact that how can we sustain this without always having to do a joint task force?
Pastor, that's an excellent question, and you're going to be part of that solution. And I urge you to come Monday and start that dialogue with the community, because it's going to take communities of faith, it's going to take prevention communities, it's going to take people who can treat people who have problems with drugs, it's going to take a business community coming together, it's going to take the people to take back these streets and keep these streets. So thank you. Thank you very much for coming, and thanks again to all of the officers who participated in this. It was a tremendous effort, and thanks to the people from my office as well, and to Dan Sadler's office. Thank you.
This is Pat Robinson for WestSeattleHerald.com.